everybody, Bob Olson here with Afterlife TV. This is where I talk about the big questions you have concerning life and death. You can find this and every episode at afterlifetv.com. Hi everybody, Bob Olson here. I'm so happy that you could join me. I'm excited about sharing an interview about two things: past life regression and life between lives regression. Past life regression is you go into a past life of yours and you have an experience with that, learn all about that lifetime and what lessons you learned from it. Usually, in 99% of the cases, it's going to be related to something that you're going through now, and it'll be valuable information to you. The life between lives regression, sometimes called a spiritual regression, or an LBL for life between lives, is when you have a past life regression and then you go to the day of your death, you die in that past life, and you keep going in the regression. Let's just keep going now that you've died in that lifetime. Where do you go? Well, you go back home to the spirit world, and that's where you can have a spirit world experience. Probably one of the most fascinating experiences you can have on purpose, right? I'm sure a near-death experience is amazing. That's not something you can just do on your own. This is something that you can. So my guest is Nancy Canning. I pulled this from the vault. I just want you to know that the audio quality was not so good because the interview was done via Skype. So what I had to do is clean up the audio a little bit, mostly by taking out the bass, because there was an annoying sounds that was coming from the bass. And if you were listening in your car or on home speakers that were much larger than your little laptop speakers, then it would have been quite annoying. So I took that out. You'll hear a difference between my voice now and that. Of course, it's the information that matters most. And I think that it's going to be a lot easier to listen to in the way that I've presented it here. With that, I just want to say a couple of things. At the time that I did this interview, Nancy was living on Cape Cod in Massachusetts. She now lives in Florida. Doesn't really matter anymore because I think all of her experiences are being done by Zoom. You could probably do Skype as well if you want to. Zoom has certainly improved the quality of that kind of communication. And the nice thing about it is she can just send you a link by email. You click on that link and your computer opens up and allows you to have that Zoom experience right away. If you want to contact Nancy after you've listened to this interview, her contact info is in the show notes. So you can go to afterlifetv.com. You can look at the interview, and right underneath the video is her phone number, her email address, and her website. You'll also find this if you're listening or watching on YouTube. All right. Thanks so much. I look forward to sharing this with you, and I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy. I just want to take a moment to mention that our sponsor here at Afterlife TV is Best Psychic Directory. You can find Best Psychic Directory at bestpsychicdirectory.com. Pretty simple, right? I've mentioned that I created Best Psychic Directory so that you know who is legitimate and credible and reputable. I've talked about that. But what I haven't mentioned in a long time is that getting a reading, especially with a medium, is one of the best experiences to give you evidence that your deceased loved one is okay. To give you evidence that they still exist, that they're around you, watching over you, and that they'll be there when it's your turn to go home. The truth is that there is just no other experience that quite matches getting a reading with a medium, especially if you get a reading with a medium who is a stranger to you. So think about that when you're considering investigating the afterlife on your own, which is one of the things that I encourage here. Don't take my word for any of it. Go out and find your own evidence, right? Have your own experiences so that you can get from a belief to a knowing. And one of the ways that you can find a good medium In fact, find a great medium is by going to bestpsychicdirectory.com. Hey everybody, Bob Olson here with Afterlife TV. Today we're going to be talking about past life regression and life between lives regression. If you're not familiar with either of those terms, we're going to define those for you and explain all you need to know about them. We have a very special guest today, someone who's really a good friend of mine, has transformed my life because of the work that she does. I think we met in the year 2000. Anyway, her name is Nancy Canning. Welcome, Nancy Canning. Appreciate you talking to us here on Afterlife TV.
It's great seeing you again, Bob.
Yeah, same here. Nancy Canning gave me my first past life regression and first life between lives regression. Can't wait to tell you all about those experiences. It is really a life-changing experience, wouldn't you say, Nancy?
Yes. So many people say it's the most profound work they've done. It just changes how you see yourself.
It does, and it falls into line with, I talk about there's experiences that you can have that are a little bit more vicarious, like, let's just say a psychic tells you what your past lives are, or you can have what I call personal experience where you can actually experience a past life for yourself. And there's miles and miles between those two. And I believe that, the only way we can get to a knowing versus a belief is through personal experience.
Right.
So anyways, that's why this subject is so important to me. Tell us a little bit, how'd you get into this field?
So I started, it was back in 1980, 82, right around in that time. I was in California. I didn't particularly believe in past lives. I was in my early 30s, and this is so California. I was in a hot tub with my therapist and his son-in-law. They were friends of mine. And I spontaneously flipped into a past life in which I was a little 10-year-old Japanese girl in a ditch with my little brother hiding from some warriors. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that that girl with that long black hair, that was me. And I started screaming out loud because it shook me to my core. And I thought I was making it up, and I'd never had anything like that. So I was really lucky that my friends believed in past lives and helped me through it. And then I started reading books on past lives because the world had opened up and I had to deal with what had happened to me.
Yeah.
So I always say it was like a big, swift kick in the behind from spirit saying, you get on your path.
No kidding. And life can be that way, can't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, what do you think now that you've been doing this for how many years?
30, over 30.
Well, that doesn't seem possible, just looking at you. What do you think initiated? What do you think led you to have that experience?
I think what I believe for all of us, we're all on our soul's path.
Yep.
And we've all come in with a real strong intention to do, to be, to accomplish, to learn. And there are times when spirit steps in and makes something happen, when our own intention steps in.
Yep.
And so I just say it was time. I had come in with a real clear intention this lifetime to clear up lifetimes and lifetimes of baggage. It was like, this is a pivotal lifetime. I think it's a pivotal lifetime for many, many people to end a lot of karma, meaning lessons we just keep repeating.
Yeah.
And you're a part of this because being able to talk about the afterlife, talking about spirit and psychics and who we are is huge for helping people to get onto their soul's path.
Well, it's a lot of fun for me, and this particular subject is interesting because of the fact that people can go and have this, anybody can have this experience. I'm sure there are people who maybe had trouble their first or second time, but have you ever run into anyone who was persistent with it that wasn't able to sort of have one of these experiences?
No, there was people who, I had one gentleman who came and he was in his 72, something like that, had never done meditation, never done anything, but there was something inside of him that was calling him. And he had read Journey of Souls, Michael Newton's book, and knew he knew he had to have it. So he came for the past life the first time and couldn't see anything. All he answered was, I don't know. But he came back a month later, and we did this for 6 months. And after about 3 sessions, he was able to see himself in a past life.
Oh, cool.
And then it got more and more clear. And after about 5 or 6 months, we both knew he could do it.
Yeah.
And He did. He had a phenomenal journey. And what was so interesting, in his past life he went to, at the end of that life, when he came out of it into the soul state, his first thought was, what a waste.
Oh, of what?
Of that past life.
Oh,
and he didn't want to waste, and he knew something in him wasn't on target. And so it was his own soul, I really believe, really like pulling him and saying, come on, it's not too late. You came in to do something and you haven't done it yet.
Well, there you go.
So I got a phone call from him, a voicemail about a year later on New Year's Day saying thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it had really done what it needed to for him.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So if people are persistent.
Yeah. Well, I know that I did not think that I could have a past life regression the first time I went to see you, which I think was in the year 2000. I made the trip from Maine to Cape Cod, where you're at, and it was a 3-hour trip, and the whole way I just thought, I'm sure other people can do this. I just don't think it's going to work for me. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and I don't know. I don't really know what your experience was with that, or if you can even remember, but I felt like, you were very patient with me, and you took a lot of time, and you helped me get to where I needed to go. And I did. That very first time had an amazing experience.
Had an amazing experience. People have two main fears coming for hypnosis, because this is hypnosis doing past life regression.
Yeah.
First one is, can I be hypnotized?
Yeah. And
the second fear is, how do I know I'm not making it up?
Yeah.
Those two run rampant with people. And how do I know I can be hypnotized and do the past life regression? Well, we all go in and out of hypnosis all the time. It's a daily, we go in and out of trance. Anytime we're driving and don't know how we got where we got. Anytime on the internet, you lose yourself and it's an hour and a half later. You've been in a trance state.
Yeah.
So going into trance is a very natural process.
Sure.
And the opening up into the past lives, if with me, one of my other specialties is belief systems. So if people have trouble, if they're blocked and can't see anything, I know it's a subconscious belief from childhood that was set up to protect them from the unknown. Because when we're like 3, 4, 5, life is too big, we can't handle the emotions, and we have a natural defense which just literally blocks everything out, and it's healthy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But in some, that gets programmed in, stuck, and it still is 30, 40, 50, 60 years later, they go into an unknown, and the brain says, what do I know about this? And it pulls up that 3-year-old's memory and blocks their memory. So I do the belief systems work, and literally we go back to the little child, we pull out that block, get it out of the way, and then they march on back into the past life.
Oh, okay.
So in most cases, people do the past life the first time. Yeah, and if not, it's because they have issues from childhood they need to work on first.
What would be the difference between hypnosis? Because to me that word is it can be so deceiving to so many people. They don't quite understand what it means. So what would be the difference between hypnosis and guided meditation?
So in both of them, you're in trance, which means your brain waves have gone from the waking state beta, which is this, into alpha, slight trance. So in guided meditation, I would be saying, and now be walking along a path, and now you're going to come to this. I will be guiding you in what to see. It's a hypnotic trance as well. Hypnosis just is the trance state in which I give suggestions, but I'm not telling you what to see. The suggestion is go back to a past life, having a significant impact on your current life.
Okay.
Or in the afterlife, once you're up in the spirit world, it's are you ready to go to your elders? Or, it's a suggestion. And yet, even when the biggest myth is that I have some kind of power and control. Yeah. I can make you say and do stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Hollywood.
Well, and those stage hypnotists, yeah.
It's not true at all. You remember everything, you're awake, you're alert, you're talking. People are so surprised, they keep thinking they're not actually in trance. Yeah. But that's hypnosis. You're just lying there, your eyes closed, you're relaxed, but you know who you are. And at the same time, these memories of the past life or the in-between lives come into consciousness. Yeah. And you begin to feel, sense, experience, know, hear. Everything that was going on in the past life is what comes because you're going into a memory.
All right. For those who don't really understand, let's explain what past life regression is. I'm sure you've explained that many million times. Many million times for many million lives. So we
have lived many lifetimes. So those memories are accessible to us. They're not accessible every day in our waking state because that would drive us crazy. There's a veil. People call it the veil of amnesia, veil of forgetfulness. So those past life memories are kept out of the everyday life, but they can be accessed through the subconscious being relaxed, the relaxation, and then the suggestions to go back. That being said, remember, I went into mine spontaneously, and we weren't talking about past lives or Japan or anything. So it can also be spontaneous.
Yep.
And children, usually under the age of 7, between 2 and 7, will spontaneously remember little snippets of past lives.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. But for the adult, we usually need some help. So it's the relaxation, being guided, you're feeling safe. And that is all it takes for that pathway to open up to the past life.
Yeah.
People wonder then, how do I know what past life to go to? And
Right.
so what I've learned is the suggestion, the past life having a significant impact on this current life.
Right.
Sometimes people want to put something specific in regarding my fear of drowning or regarding this relationship. So we can put that in, but your inner knowing, that wisdom within you goes to the life. I've done it thousands of times. It works. It's like flipping on a light switch.
Yeah. For me, it's always been not just going to a significant lifetime that was significant to me in this life, but also at this time in my life. My very first one was about a particular issue, about feeling responsibility for others. And I learned a great lesson in that past life that I went to, all about feeling responsibility for others, you know. And it was amazing. Like, wow, of all the lifetimes I could have gone to, I went to that one, right? And then when I had other ones, same thing. You know, it was whatever was going on with me at that time.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed. I do this a lot, and I'm always in awe of that same thing of like, how exactly does this work?
Yeah.
But it does. It's just that wisdom. It's the knowing within us, that a greater wisdom that says this is the life that's somehow linked to this current life.
Yeah.
And will give you answers. And that's one of the reasons people like doing the past life regression, just exactly for that. You wonder where this feeling comes from that you have, being responsible. And then you go into a past life and realize it was a life perhaps where something traumatic happened, or there's this fear of, if I do something wrong, everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
I have a lot of it with healers. I work with a lot of people, and people listening to this, or many of them are in the healing work.
They sure are.
And they're often so afraid to step out into the healing word, to speak or to write, or because they're going to get killed.
Wow.
Past life. Because they
Yeah.
get killed over and over and over. And so that memory, I had that in this lifetime. When I moved to Cape Cod, I was going to start teaching at the local high school, adult education.
Yeah.
And I was convinced someone was to come in and shoot me.
Really?
And I knew that wasn't true,
Oh.
but it was so real. So I went into a friend and had the past life regression, go back, sure enough, get killed for speaking up, cleared it, and I was teaching there, 14 years now.
Yeah.
But it's that awareness. We have something that feels real,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's
Yeah.
usually past life.
And what you were going to teach about this subject, it wasn't like you were going to teach math or something. It was this, and this is where it comes. Something that's a little out of the ordinary. Yeah.
The ordinary,
Yeah.
not safe. And
Yeah.
so many times people use past life regression because there's something bothering them that they just can't clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's this experience like? How would you describe this? People who have never had a past life regression before, how do you describe it to them?
So I describe it in the way that your eyes are closed and yet you're reliving a memory, just like you're watching a movie. You may be seeing, sensing, feeling yourself in that other life, and it starts to unfold, and it's not what you expect. And at the same time that you're seeing it and all in your mind's eye, your logical mind may also be very busy going, what?
Yeah.
What? You don't know that. How do you know that's true? It can be very busy making a little commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, so you really got two things going on at once.
Yeah, yeah. So you're aware as the adult that you are now.
Yeah.
And at the same time, there's this other experience that's drawing you in and unfolding. And one of the things with past lives is there may be blanks in your memory. You don't remember things. I'll ask questions and sometimes you don't know. And I'll say, go to a significant event in your 20s. How old are you? What's going on? And they may say, I'm 53, because even though I said 20s, something important happened at 53, so they jumped to 53. That's how I know I have no power. They ignore me completely. You go where you're going to go. And it starts to unfold. And sometimes you start to feel an emotion before you know what it even is about. People will start to get a foreboding because it's a memory. The knowledge is there, and it can be very unexpected. Yeah. I had a client a while back who was in the bliss of dancing. She was having that experience of dancing and was crying from the sheer joy of dance. And it was over the phone, so I didn't see her, but she was waving her hands. And I mean, she was really, and then her crying changed quality, and it became sobbing, and she was crippled. In that past life.
Oh, in the past life.
Dancer became crippled and so was really experiencing what that was like to go through that despair and then to come out of it and to still do good. And so it was emotionally very tiring. At the end, she was exhausted, actually, because it was a huge, and that is the way for many people. They're not all so emotional. Some of them are rather mundane. Because that's what's true in a life. It's kind of just a normal life. You go and do your hard work and...
Oh, definitely. I will tell people a little bit. In the show notes below this video, I'm going to link to the 2 articles that I wrote about my first past life regression and my first life between lives regression. People can read those. You kind of read them both because at that time, I know you don't do it anymore, at that time we kind of linked the 2 together all in one day. So... And nowadays, you have people go through a past life regression before they can have the life between lives. But we did it, this was, again, the year 2000, I think. I actually, in that first article, don't write too much about it. And there wasn't a heck of a lot to it anyways, because the past life regression was so amazing. I think the article is titled, like, Cried, Shivered, and Shook. And I really did, all those things. It was a multi-sensory, multi-emotional experience. So they can read about that. But what was interesting to me about it was when I went into the past life, for me, I was expecting a movie, and I didn't get a movie. But what was happening is you would ask a question, and an answer would pop up in my head. Now, I thought maybe I was imagining that, right? I'm sure a lot of clients are like that. I thought maybe I was imagining the answer, but I said, well, I'll just give it. In fact, you instructed me, you said, look, just go with it. Whatever you got, just go with it. Just see where it goes. Don't worry about it. Don't judge it. Don't question it. So I started giving you the answers. You're asking me, what am I wearing on my feet? What am I wearing on my legs? My head, all this sort of thing. And all of a sudden, it starts to come together, and I realize that it's sort of coming, what's the word, I think, claircognizance, is it's coming as a knowing. The answers were just there, and after a while, I realized these are things that I'm not making this up. Like, I don't have that good of imagination. And then, as time went on, it went from that knowing, and I don't know where it switched, but it went from that knowing to a multi-sensory experience. I could smell things. I could see things. I knew what things felt like. I knew what I felt like as his name was George. I knew he had hair all over him, and he was big and burly, and I knew what he was like. So it changed because I just kept going with it. I kept surrendering to this experience. This is what I came for. I'm going to do it. Whatever comes. I'm going to stop questioning everything. And then it was like, wow.
And that's how it often is for people. And that's part of the soul's journey, though, is us learning to quit questioning and quit doubting and start trusting.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the learning along the pathway to start knowing that we know.
Now, I want to let people know, this is a safe experience. So that time, I think I was in your house or your office at that time, and the first one, I was lying down. I think the next one I was in a recliner. But anyways, I was fully aware that I was in this room. So, like you said, there's two parts of me. I was fully aware. I could still feel the chair and everything else, even though I could feel the sword I was holding or whatever it may be in the past life. And I knew that if I wanted to at any time, I could just open my eyes.
Yeah.
I can end this at any time. This is a very safe experience. But I was so involved in it. You were asking me questions, and that was what was keeping things moving, because you were saying, let's go here, let's go there, as far as age or whatever. I was so involved that you were a little bit annoying to me at that time, and my wife Melissa has had this experience, and she sort of said the same thing, like, as much as she needed you, as much as we needed you to keep guiding us, there was a part of us, we just wanted to give you the most brief answers we could, right?
And to be in that other experience.
Be and feel it. But time goes by so fast.
Yes, and you don't know. See, time distortion is a part of hypnosis. So in the past life, you're under for over an hour, and it feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Do you think that's hypnosis, or you think that's
hypnosis.
Sort of being in that other dimension?
No, that's part of hypnosis. It's called time distortion. Well, even on the internet, when you're in trance, it's not even hypnosis. It's part of the trance state.
Yeah. So, like, we're driving home. How did I get home? I don't even remember.
Don't remember. You're on the internet. You'd swear it was 10 minutes, and you look up and it's been 2 hours. That's the quality of when you're really focused on one thing, everything else fades away.
Yeah.
So in the life between lives and in the past life, I know that's how it is. It's kind of that job I have of how much do I ask and keep you going, because otherwise, for one thing, the CD is blank if you're not talking, and so you go home with nothing on it, but you had a great memory in there. But
right.
And it's also to keep you moving along.
Yeah.
Because I also know that you can go back into that life on your own. Because once you've brought it up, it's part of this memory bank now, and it's easier to go into it and bring in more details many times.
Very true. Yeah. Now, I can just think about that lifetime right now, that first one. So, what are some of the benefits to having a past life regression?
So, one of the main ones is that it answers questions for people on what are they doing here this lifetime? People want to know their life purpose. That's one of the big jobs that I have with people, is leading them to that.
Yeah.
And when you go into a past life and see challenges and how you responded, and because at the end of the past life you go through the death and into the spirit world, and we look back to see what were the lessons you came in to learn that lifetime.
Yeah.
How did you do? And how is that impacting you now?
Yeah.
And then we do healing on it, because each life impacts the ones following. We're bringing things forward over and over until it's all the way resolved, and it's just kind of then left.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is to resolve what's going on this lifetime, because it's based in another lifetime. Right. So it can be around, like I was saying, with different fears or phobias, or just different ways of how we feel about ourselves or what we're working on. And also with people, health, there's many times people bring in wounds, death wounds from other lives will have an impact on this lifetime.
Yeah.
Their health, asthma, back pains. I worked with a woman who used to have terrible back pain, and she'd had surgery, and in her past life she was a soldier, and they're out on the battlefield, and there was that saber right through her back, and it went exactly in the spot in her memory in the past life where her surgery had been.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And I've had another one who was shot in the back, and that place, she realized that's exactly where her back pain is. So neck traumas, neck problems in this lifetime often come from that. So it's to resolve different issues, and also to answer questions about, why do I feel a certain way about things?
Why would this happen? Like, you're talking about the physical things. Why would we go through life, another lifetime, and end up with a similar injury? Is this some kind of karma balancing or something? I don't know.
Sometimes, I think part of it is if it's a traumatic death, a sudden traumatic one, it's like post-traumatic stress disorder almost. It is that trauma gets stuck. And part of us, we bring it then with us into another lifetime.
Okay.
Sometimes there can be birthmarks that are the birthmark of the past life death.
Yeah. I know people who have showed me theirs. Yeah.
So, and there's certain kinds of birthmarks. They're just not normal ones. There's a quality to them, and it's fascinating. The book Old Souls by Tom Schroeder is a lot about that, where Dr. Ian Stevenson, who did this research on past lives for 40 years at the university in Virginia, did a lot of work with children around the world and did lots with the birthmarks and fascinating. So people who are skeptical, there's great books out there that scientific research. This isn't just woo-woo stuff. There's the scientific, where they have really methodically gone through and checked out the lives and gone to families and collected the data from the past life person as well as in this life.
Also, it's such a personal experience, such a sacred experience when you have this. You know, sometimes I know that sometimes people would be better off not sharing it with others because of the sacredness of that experience. It means something to you in ways that other people are never going to understand. And so it might just be better that you keep it to yourself, because as I talk about that knowing that you can only get from personal experience like this, if someone else has not had it, they can't understand, they can't appreciate it. And so for you to try to tell them, you're telling them that's a vicarious experience for them. The best they can come to is a belief. And if they have too much skepticism around it, really the only result that probably will happen out of it, you're not going to convince them of anything. They might diminish your own sacred experience, you know?
Because that logical mind of ours, its job is to keep doubting and to keep questioning. And so sometimes it is important to just keep it to yourself. And sometimes it's so profound, you don't really have words. And it's true. You try and explain it to someone, and it's like telling them a fabulous dream. You tell someone a dream you had, and then the dream kind of goes flat.
Yeah.
It's the same way here. Energetically, you share it, and it just dissipates. So
it does. And so, you know, science is wonderful in so many ways, and I love what people have done, even with this subject. It's great. But at the same time, there's an aspect of it where just push the science aside. This is a personal experience. It's about you. And, you know, sometimes you just got to not worry about all this other stuff. And just, what does it mean to you? This is subjective, you know?
It's very true. In the end, it's your soul's journey, and it's your soul's memory.
For some of these people, have their injuries healed after, or does that happen sometimes, not all the time?
Sometimes. Nothing is all the time, but there's definitely been healing that happens on health reasons from going into other lives. Fears, phobias, everything, relationships, all the understanding. It's one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come and they have some chronic disease, and they think if they go into a past life that will heal this chronic disease, and I really am wary of that. It's like too much expectation.
Yeah.
But it absolutely is a piece of the puzzle, and with continued work, it can make a difference.
And, you know, so we're talking about this, we're on Afterlife TV. How would you equate this to the afterlife? To me, it's just, you know, if we've had past lives, that means we have an afterlife.
Something happens in between the past life and this life, and that's the afterlife, which you do so much work with and which just fascinates the living daylights out of me. I love the afterlife.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly driving down the freeway out in California years ago with all these semi trucks and huge traffic, and I was thinking, I really want a near-death experience, but I don't want any pain. I don't want any trauma. I don't want it to really cost me anything. I just want that experience.
Right.
And this is the closest thing
that
happens for the people who, because you can't create a near-death experience. It's just something that happens. It's not what you decide to do. So the Life Between Lives spiritual regression takes you, I use much deeper hypnosis, but you're still awake and alert.
Yeah.
Go into a past life. We move through it very quickly into the death. That last day through the death, and then you're following the memory and the consciousness of moving into spirit world, the afterlife.
Yeah, okay.
And as you know, it's just beyond words, phenomenal to have that experience of the body falling away. So you lose the experience of being a physical body, and you become more and more the spiritual essence that you are.
Yeah, so true. This is the only really doorway that you know that works, that anybody knows that really works, is to go through a past life, and then upon the death of that past life, that's sort of the doorway into the spirit world, right?
You may be able to go straight from this, but we found through experience it's much better for, especially when people haven't had any other experience with this.
Yeah.
Take the route. We're following your soul's journey.
Yeah.
back through childhood here, all the way back into another life, and then through that life and on
into the spirit world.
To the
All
spirit
right,
world.
so let's, if you were to just describe the life between lives regression, sometimes we call it a spiritual regression or an LBL, just life between lives, like LBL. So how would you describe an LBL to someone who knows nothing about it?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, you're describing something that someone has never experienced. And
Yeah.
so it is an experience in which you get really caught up in it. The rest of the world just kind of fades away, and you become the experience of, as you move into the spirit world, you're greeted typically by a presence, and there's healing that happens. And in that healing, people describe it as you become lighter, the physicality of you drops away, there's healing, and you become whole. It's you rejoin, literally, you're rejoining with your soul self that's not in this body. We only bring part of who we are into the body, so you rejoin, and there's this deep, deep, profound sense of being home and whole. I'm back. I'm back to me.
Yeah.
Again.
That's right. And is it different for everybody, or are there some early stages that most people seem to go through when they get there?
It's pretty typical, but sometimes people will just rush on through. Every soul is different, so everyone's past life is different. Everyone's in between lives is different.
Yeah.
So some souls, if they've had a really long, arduous, difficult past life, they're likely to spend more time getting healing going in because they're needing it. Sometimes, it's been a pretty easy life or a short life, and you just zip on through and you're home.
Yeah.
You're back home, and party time. Let me rejoin with my friends. So sometimes people will just briefly get that healing, and other times, talk about me being irritating, I'm having to move them on from the most delicious experience they have. They're just regaining who they are. So I leave them there for a short time, but it's the whole sense of there's so much more. Let's move on into the spirit world to see what else awaits you. That's just the entry point. And what's happening there is literally you're changing into the superconscious state of awareness.
Yeah.
Very different state of awareness, so that you're then able to meet with your guide and to know it, to be there, to describe it. So the real difference with this and other types of work is you're the one having the experience profoundly with your guide and describing it.
Yeah, yeah. So when you get there, so one of the things you can do is you can meet with your guide.
Right. Past life review that life that just ended is a very typical first state. Not everyone does that, but that's somewhat typical. Let's go review what just happened.
Yep. Now, I can't remember. I have to go back and read my own article, but did I meet with the Council of Elders before, or I think it was before?
I don't remember.
Okay,
sometimes it's before, sometimes it's whenever.
Okay, I think it was before, because I remember them being there while I went through the life review, and good thing. I remember needing them there. So explain, again, not everybody's going to have this, but I happen to meet with the Council of Elders. What is that normally like for people?
That most people do. They may call them elders, council, wise men, whatever. These are beings who are not in this lifetime. They are long since have not incarnated in a long time. They have the wisdom and love and oversight for your whole soul's journey, your existence. They know it.
Yeah.
And they love you, and so you walk in and there's this sense of being known and loved and not judged. No matter what the life was, they're not judging. They have this understanding of you're doing your best.
Yeah.
So you're not judged, but you're held accountable. And I don't remember in years, but many times they start off by saying, welcome, you're welcomed in, and then they're going, how do you think you did?
Yeah. Yeah, and in my experience, there were 6 or 7 of them there. We were around an oval sort of table. I don't even know if there wasn't really a table there, but there was an ovalness. Yeah, it's hard to describe, right? And you hear near-death experience people saying, really hard to describe. That's all I ever hear. It's really hard to describe.
Hard to describe.
Now I'm there. So anyways, we're sort of in this oval circle. There was a form to them. I wasn't seeing them as people. There was an energy. They were light beings. But I'll just say, I will never forget what it felt like to feel their love for me. Oh my God, that was overwhelming. Nothing like, I've been with Melissa since she was 12 and I was 15. Still, you know what I mean?
It's not the same.
It was like, whoa, like.
It's unconditional love. When I say I don't really believe in unconditional love in the human form, people don't like that, but I go, no, but I've experienced unconditional, and we do the best we can on this, but there's conditions because we got personalities, we got stuff.
Yeah.
We do our best, but that really is absolutely without condition.
Yeah.
And that's where that comes from, that knowing of what unconditional love is.
Yeah.
Absolutely life-changing for people to have that experience.
Right. Oh, exactly. And then you move on from there to what other possibilities exist?
Well, part of it, one of the main things with the elders, the main reason people come for the Life Between Lives is they want to know their life purpose. Why am I here? How am I doing? What else is there for me to do?
Yep.
And this is where they get to have the much bigger overview. And we tend to judge ourselves really harshly. When we're asked, how did you do in your past life? We start going, well, I could have done this better. They're going, you were fabulous. You did this. And they put it in such a perspective that we don't see of little things that we did, that we accomplished, that we might not even give much credence to. They're going, that was profound. You moved. You did what you went into that lifetime. You showed responsibility. You showed leadership. You did this. You did that. You moved through incredible obstacles. Or you fell on your face and you get to do it again. Good job. You showed up. Yeah. So whatever it is, but what I love about the elders is that ability that they put our lives into a different perspective so that we suddenly can come into the self-love, self-acceptance of like going, oh, I'm okay. And that's their big message to people. You're okay. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
You're doing fine.
Perfect. There was a point where in my second one, I was actually having a little trouble jumping over the fence there from my past life, and there was some fear involved, and a lot of it had to do with some beliefs that you needed to help me work with, but you brought my soul in to help me work on those beliefs. Is that an unusual situation?
I do it once in a while. I do it if it's needed.
Yeah.
But only if it's needed. So everything is possible.
Okay.
It's all about if you need healing. I've sometimes, not often, but once in a while, elders and the healers in the spirit world have done healing in the spirit world on the person. Because see, even though we go in through a past life, once we're in the spirit world and the afterlife, it's all now. There is no more time.
Right.
So we can be talking past lives and present life and all in the same context. There's no division at all.
Yeah, that's right. Most people who have had an NDE won't even use the phrase. They'll say other lives. And what I loved about that experience that I had was it was the first time I think that I recognized this idea of that our soul is always in the spirit world. There's this part of us. A lot of people will call it their higher self and then never really think it through. There's this higher self that is always in the spirit world, sort of helping to guide us along the way.
Yes.
And that gave me great comfort to know.
Yeah. We're not all together here.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as though we left there and here we are here. We go back. We're connected. That's our connection.
Yes, there's definitely a connection.
Yep. All right. So, and then tell us a little bit about our soul groups.
So the soul family, soul group, soul friends, soul partners, call them whatever you want. These, when we're younger souls, when we're newer souls, the soul groups, soul families tend to be much bigger, maybe 25, who knows. And it's like kindergarten. When kindergartners in this lifetime go anywhere, everyone holds hands and they kind of go as a group. And that's how we are as young souls. We're our family, and we're everything we do is together pretty much. Yeah. And then as we age through lifetime after lifetime, it's like going into junior high, and we go to different classrooms, but we still have friends we hang out with, but it might be a smaller group. We might have like 6 or 7 friends that we really hang out with. Same thing in the soul family. So when you go into the spirit world, you might have 6 or 12 or 3 or none. Because you might be to the state, some of the older souls who've evolved a little more don't need that anymore. They're doing like independent studies, they're working, they're helping others, they're not hanging out with a certain group. But the soul family is not the same as your human family.
Yeah.
So some of the beings may be in your human family, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
But they are those beings that you are evolving with, that you are very close to, that you tend to incarnate with in one form or another, often as friends or somehow to help each other, support each other in our lessons.
Yeah.
And in between lives, we hang out together and we learn, we laugh, we play. It's all the things we do together in the afterlife and it's all about growing and being.
Right. And so if we do share other lifetimes with them, we're switching roles, male, female, father, mother, sister, brother, friend, enemy, maybe.
Oh, some of our worst people in this lifetime are in our soul group, and they agreed to come in and play a really difficult role so that we could learn a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone thinks soulmate is supposed to be this one true love. Sometimes the soulmate is that person you can't stand, but they've come in to help you.
And you know what? A great thing in when you recognize that, I think one of the most wonderful things you can do is when you have someone in your life who is tormenting you in that way, to recognize, oh, you know, what is this person in my life for? Like, what are they teaching me? What message can I get from this? And then, even if you don't know, just send them love in a way that, you know, thank you for, you know, whatever purpose you're serving, right?
Yep, and it really helps when we get to see our own patterns in this lifetime and begin to see what we keep creating and the type of personality we keep bringing in.
Yeah.
So we can finally go, this is about me. They're all here to teach me something. And that's the thank you. Let me see what I'm here to learn, and let me just learn it so I can be done with this.
Yeah.
So I can change these relationships, because it's all about learning.
One thing I should mention before we talk about some of the benefits is, you talk about soul group, soul family, an opportunity to see who is in your life and maybe find out why, right?
Yes. What's the agreement? Because before, one of the things in the Life Between Lives that we do is we also see, why did you choose this life? You go into the life selection. Why did you choose to come in as male or female? And there's really good reasons. And it's always, people are really clear. Oh, I came in because a male is this, or I came in because a female is this. They have reasons. It's a really important choice in coming in. And why did I choose my mother, my father, my siblings, husband, wife, children? Why did we choose these significant relationships? And there's reasons why. It's not just happenstance. They're all here to support us in what we're trying to learn.
Yeah.
And then creating obstacles. Sometimes they come in to create the obstacles that we're trying to learn through. So that's why people can go, I didn't choose that family. And it's like, well, yeah, you did.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anything else significant that we missed on, more typical?
One of the other things that's really important for people is what they do in between lives, like a job, meaning how they spend their time. And because how they be in spirit world is how they are now. They can't not be. And so one of the main, like you as an investigator and curious and all of these qualities, you can't not be that.
Right.
I would think lifetime after lifetime, it's a part of who you are.
Right.
And so even in the spirit world, it would be a whole level of bringing answers or putting people together and networking. However we are in this lifetime, that just comes naturally.
Yeah.
We are in the other world. And so one of the most profound ones I love to talk about was many years ago. She, in a past life, went into a life in which her young daughter died at like age 2. And this woman went into deep despair and committed suicide.
Okay.
In the past life.
Yeah.
Was very afraid to go into the spirit world, afraid of being judged. And yet when she got there with her elders, they were so proud of her, because it was one of her best lives. Because as a soul, she holds the quality of hope, that she meets and is with other beings, and they just emanate hope to the world. They go to places in the world and they just be hope. And she was willing to go totally against her nature, to go into hopelessness, so she could better understand hopelessness. And so her life and that suicide and all that she did, they were so proud of her. And I still get so emotionally teary when I think of that type of love that we're held in.
Yeah.
So one of the benefits is to see ourselves in a whole different light and to learn to not judge ourselves or others, because we don't know what anyone's here learning.
Yeah.
But to see what is our nature. Who am I? Who is the soul essence? So that's what brings the peace. Like, I know at the end of this lifetime, I'm absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And it brings there's not even a question.
Yeah.
And I love knowing that I'm loved even in this moment, and I'm doing my best, and that we're all doing good enough. And it's just, one of them says, speaking of a past life, that was just one little fragment of who I am.
Yeah.
So I think about that this life, when I think, oh, I'm not doing so well, or, what's going on, I go, oh, this is just one little tiny fragment of the whole big picture. Hang in there and keep going.
That's right. Yeah, that's
And
beautiful.
to know that it's all profound. We can hear, like you were saying, we can read about the afterlife, we can hear about it, but to actually experience it changes fundamentally how we complete the remainder of this life.
And that is the benefit to having this LBL, spiritual regression experience, is what you just said. Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about this life. In the end, the afterlife is great, and past lives are great, but the here and the now, this is what counts.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what counts. This is
right.
What
so these experiences teach us about ourselves in this life, and that's the ultimate benefit for us right now. Yep.
So the one thing is to be able to end this life on our last day of this lifetime with 2 thumbs up, going, good job. I did what I came to do, as opposed to, oh man, what a waste. I blew it. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot who I was. It's much nicer to do this work and to have that experience and to go, oh God, okay, I'm on my path. I'm doing what I came to do, and I can enjoy the ride a lot more than if I'm always wondering or judging or not feeling like I'm doing good enough.
So in the 30 plus years that you've been doing this, would you say that that's one of the greatest benefits that your clients walk away with is an inner peace about who they are and why they're here?
Yeah, that whole sense of who am I? Who am I?
Yeah.
And who am I, and why have I come, and how am I doing?
Yeah. That's the book we all want to read, right?
Yeah.
The book about us.
The book about me. Who am I? And so that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
And then it makes, because my whole job, all that I do, it's really to help people improve the quality of their lives. Yeah. To know on a soul level what they're doing here, and to improve that life, this life here, so that we can then help others.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. How beautiful is that? Now, one of the things I want to mention is that both of these experiences, the past life regression and the life between lives regression, can be done by Skype.
Yes.
Now, here's an opportunity we didn't have. Yeah. I don't think we had it when I could have.
Oh, not at all. I not at all. I was adamant people had to come in person, because it used to be 3 hours with you. It's now 4 hours. I couldn't imagine doing 4 hours not in person. And it's so profound, and it's intense, and it's sacred, and the atmosphere. Everything is really important. So.
Yeah, so I'll let people. So the past life regressions are what, about 90 minutes, maybe?
Hour and a half, yep.
And then the life between lives regressions are about 4 hours. Melissa was here in the studio. She had a lounge chair set up with, it was like blankets and
she was comfy.
Pillows, and she had it all. She just turned this place into this lovely little sanctuary for her. You were able to see, her head and what was going on with her, and then at the beginning, at least, she was able to look at you and talk with you, and that was a beautiful experience. Went on for 4 hours and without a hitch. It was the same. It was the exact same experience I had in your office.
Yep, there's no difference in quality. I was so excited because I get emails from all over the world of people wanting to do this, and so until now, it's not been possible. So. Yeah. That's the really good news. I've been doing the phone work with past lives for years and years. People actually prefer it because they don't have to get up and drive and commute afterwards. They can lay in their own bed and kind of process it. But now that's possible with this, which is really nice.
And that is definitely a recommendation if anybody does this. Set yourself up nice. You know what I mean? Do it great. If you're comfortable And honestly, Melissa was a little worried. She's always on the go. She was a little worried about sitting in one place for 4 hours. Pfft, nothing to it. Time goes by like that.
Gone. People, I had one woman who, when she was coming out of her life between lives, she was thinking, I got gypped. That was only an hour. And she was shocked to find it had been 3.5 hours.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
It doesn't. Time distortion is a wonderful thing when you're so engrossed in that out. There is no time. You literally step into timelessness.
Yeah, you do. And what a great experience it is. And Melissa had an LBL with you a couple of weeks ago. I think she's talking about it every day.
Yeah.
But she's still there. She can still, like you were saying, kind of go back into it and feel what that feels like. It's had a profound effect on her. We'll have to get her to write about that. All right, how does one make first of all, let me just say this. Yes. Here's a guy we need to honor.
Yes. Mr. Michael.
Michael Newton, Dr. Michael Newton. He wrote a few books. This is the first one that I recommend everybody read. Journey of Souls. The next one is Destiny of Souls. You can put them together, but read Journey of Souls first before you do it. People can buy it on Amazon.com, but if you want to learn more about these experiences, that's a great way to learn about them. Not to expect that you're going to have the same experience that some of the people he writes about in there have had. I certainly did not. I had my own experience. But anyways, that's the great way to go.
And I will say, like, nobody has that experience he describes. But it's similar, but everyone is profoundly different. No one that I know of, I think 5 people out of like 1,000 have actually done the exact kind of, step by step that he writes about. He culled 29 out of case studies out of thousands he had done. So, but it gives you a great idea, and I like people to read it because then they have it's like taking a map before you go to New York City. It's really nice to have a map so you know where you're going, but the map's not the territory. So it's the same thing here. It doesn't affect your own session. Once you're in the afterlife, you don't care what you read.
No.
Who cares?
No, exactly. Oh, you're just focused on. Whoa, this is
focused
cool.
on you. Forget anyone else. This is my story. This is about. It's all about me. So it's a way of saying this is about me, but it is. It's all about the person.
It is. It's just a wonderful experience. I can't recommend it highly enough. I think it's cool. People can contact you if they want to learn more about it or have an experience. And any last words, anything you wanted to say?
No, just thank you for doing this work. I'm grateful to Michael for this work. I'm grateful to all the clients. I'm grateful. I know I was born to do this. I say it on my website. When I read Michael's book, I was halfway through it and just shocked that we could know about what happened in the afterlife. I hadn't known we knew it, but I knew what he was talking about, and I knew I was born to do it. I knew I didn't need any training. I knew. All I needed was a session with him, which I had 2 years later, and came back and started doing the work.
Wow.
And that was back in 2000. So you were one of the first ones. It's come a long ways, baby.
Yeah, no, I know.
As I've been doing them, who I am has grown and evolved, and so the sessions have a real different quality, it feels like now.
Yeah. And I do want to mention you're intuitive yourself, and I think that was a big part of mine. I recognized you sort of knew what was going on without me even having to tell you.
Yeah.
That helped. That really helped with the experience that you have that ability.
It made sense. Sometimes we wonder why we do things in our life what was that about? Well, I went through 8 years of real intense psychic training in the 80s. After that past life, I went into psychic training and then started as a psychic, was reading past lives for years and years, did hundreds and hundreds of them. But that training, that learning to really know and speak to spirit and be in the presence and not doubt at all, but to be in that space, I'm so grateful for that training back then, because that's what enables me to do what I do now so well, because I'm really comfortable being with spirit and being and hearing and following and
you get to follow along as these people, your clients, are having these experiences.
And I'm constantly speaking with their elders and their guide and asking for help, asking for guidance, asking for clarification. It's, I'm busy with that. As you're having your experience, I'm just, because they know what's best for you, and I'm just trying to get the input from them and to help you.
You must
have
be
the
exhausted
experience.
by the time you're done.
I used to be. When I was new at this, I would cry afterwards because I was so, and then sleep and cry and sleep. And then it got to be the point where it's like, I don't miss a step anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not exhausting. It's enlivening. It's exhilarating. And I'm always so honored. It is such a deep and intimate journey for a person to go into who they are with no stories, nothing. It's all just the pure essence of who they are in their own beingness.
Yeah,
and that's a real honor. And I hold that very sacred.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. You have a good day.
You too.
So that's another episode of Afterlife TV. Thank you for joining us. Please like us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, or sign up for our newsletter at afterlifetv.com so you don't miss our next episode. See you next time.